Bring it to our discussion segment now. You may all witness that Enugu is going through an industrial revolution. Now, the Enugu State Governor yesterday unveiled the Revamped Niger Gas Company Limited, a medical and industrial gas production company in Emene, Enugu. Let's take a look at his address and that of the Commissioner for Trade, Commerce and Industry, and then come back for an assessment. Take a look.
100 cubic meters of liquid gas per hour. So it is not even per day, per hour. So for context, that means that we have the capacity to supply the entire southeast of liquid oxygen. We also have the capacity to produce the acetylene gas, again for industries, for welders and what have you. We're able to produce that here. But be sure, Enugu is rising. Make no mistake about it.
This project is a clear demonstration, ladies and gentlemen, of our government's commitment to rapid industrialization and sustainable economic growth. This commissioning is a landmark achievement in that it validates our strategic drive to reposition Enugu as a major hub for industrial investment.
Niger Gas was reportedly founded in May 1962, of course, under the leadership of former Eastern Region Premier, Dr. Michael Obara. Now, to assess this development, we're joined in the studio by Sir Abuchi Anoyago, Public Affairs Analyst. And this is, of course, also looking at the revival of other moribund assets in the state. It appears to be a quest at this point, Dr. Abuchi. Thank you for joining us and good morning to you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, coming around.
Good morning, Audrey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So let's begin with a holistic assessment of what we've seen in recent times. We've seen the Hotel Presidential, we've seen the International Conference Center, Niger Gas, United Palm Products, lots of work underway. What is your take on this seeming quest? It is a quest to revive these abandoned assets in the state.
Yes, really it is a quest to revive or reactivate these moribund enterprises of the state government, things that the state government inherited from the past. That's from some of those these enterprises were things that were established during the era of Michael Obara, as you said, like you talk about the Hotel Presidential, this Niger Gas, and there is one too they call Niger Steel, and some others. So they were moribund, and then the government of the day is trying to reactivate them. It's quite commendable, if one may say. But going beyond that, based on feelers coming in, one wouldn't hope that at the end of the day, it might not be a misery to the state, in the sense that they say, like Dibos will say, yes, they may have good, genuine intentions to bring back to life these projects, these enterprises. But going beyond that, what is the future of these projects? Would it be a case of a situation where the state would have to be at the mercy of some people because of ties that will be very difficult to break? Because I'm hearing that some of these projects that are being revived today, they are being tied to what is called the PPP.
That's right. Private
partnership. And what is the arrangement for this PPP? Is this something that would, in a long way, be of immense benefit to the people, to the state? Or would it be something that could, one may look at a new colonialist structure a system where 80% or even more than 80% of the ownership, in parentheses, is now vested with an outside interest. That's the critical question. It's not all about reviving these industries, all these moribund sectors, but how would it be holistically for the long term, and why entering into a very long time? I am hearing about over 50 years, that is decades, 80 years or 30 years. And so in entering into this kind of contractual agreement, was cognizance taken about the incoming administration, or would it be a case of maybe the successive administrations in the state would now be taking dictations from somewhere, from somebody,
but
that to ensure that these ties are maintained? So that's my
But don't you think that this thinking ahead in trying to protect these infrastructures, that even if the next dispensation comes, there's already a standard strategy that could propel these infrastructures?
Well, Oji, whichever way, remember I started by saying these things, these ideas are quite noble, quite commendable. But let it not be a situation where the interest of the state will be mortgaged to something that will be very difficult for them to come out of it. So the question you are raising is quite germane, but the issue is I don't know, because it's a very important one. Would successive governments sustain these agreements? How would they look at it? Because I was thinking that in government, yes, they say government is a continuity, but we have seen in Nigeria that government, perhaps that continuity thing has questions, because we have seen in Nigeria where laudable projects that were started by a past regime were abandoned by successive
All right.
government.
Now, that has happened in lots of cases where government is seen to be running business. Government starts to run business. But in this case, I'd like to take us back in time, because Afia TV did do its own research while we're still waiting for some kind of official interview such as this with the Commissioner for Trade, Commerce and Industry. Now, we have some information at hand due to our digging. So we understand that sometime earlier this year, people who were interested in working with Niger Gas were asked to send their information, their CVs, to the human resource manager of 10 Gas Development Company Limited. Now, we did not stop there. We tried to gather more information about 10 Gas, seen as people who wanted to be recruited to the new revived Niger Gas were asked to send their CVs there. I mean, that obviously gave us some indication as to the public-private partnership. So we did some more research. We know that 10 Gas, and we have the infographic. I'm sure our producer will pop that up as we go ahead. Now, 10 Gas is a recognized leader in the gas industry, delivering a wide range of gas products and services that support both everyday living and industrial development locally and globally. Now, we understand, according to a search on CAC, that the company was officially registered on July 15th, 2015, as per the CAC, with industry experience dating back to 1996, reflecting nearly 3 decades of expertise. Now, we know that the company is headquartered in Lagos, serving as a strategic hub for operations across Nigeria and beyond. So this is what we know about 10 Gas. Of course, if the new recruits are supposed to send their CVs there, if they want to be recruited, then somehow, some way, there should be some kind of arrangement between Niger Gas, which has now been revived by the state government, and 10 Gas. But what we don't know are the terms of the agreement, essentially. So based on the repository of experience, the knowledge we've just unveiled on this program, what's your take on this PPP, seen as the government is trying to get it as far away from government influence as possibly possible?
Thank you, Natalie. Yes, in as much as government is in a hurry to get things done, to get back these industries, these moribund sectors into work, because when they are back into work, it's not only that they providing the essential services to the people, but they are at the same time creating jobs, and creating jobs directly and indirectly. Directly by people who would be working in those facilities, and indirectly by people who will be dealing on the products being produced by those places, like this Niger Gas of a thing. They will be producing products which people will be selling, and you see the multiplier effect of it. But the caveat there is that in as much as government is doing this, trying to get these things back, the government should be mindful of not mortgaging in perpetuity, or perhaps for a very long time, the interest of the state, to a point that after all said and done, it might not be of economic benefit, that is in terms of profit and loss issues to the government, even though they are there in place providing services and then doing some other things. So government should be very mindful of this, bearing in mind that yes, government is a continuity, but some other person might come and decide to look the other way, or might decide to see the same thing from a different point of view. So, because it happens, just like the case of the elephant, where how many blind men, one touched from the leg and said that the elephant is like a tree, and the other one said it's like a house, and things like that. So, some other person might come in tomorrow as governor of Enugu State and begin to have a different point of view, a different thinking about development, So, and then they begin to have issues by the time they are doing it, and the state will be going into unnecessary litigations and things like that. So they should be mindful of this. That's my own concern. Whatever they are doing, they should be mindful of future of the state.
Definitely from the MOU, there are going to be clauses, to avert things like this.
I mean, we don't have the MOU, so I hope. I mean, we can't say that they obviously would be. I hope they are.
What his points are salient, right? Is something that has to be put into consideration. Government does not have business in doing business, right? So the best way is the PPP, right? So that's the best way to go. But apparently your suggestions or your concerns are very salient. They're very, very, very paramount. But I guess that from the MOU, there could be clauses which, if or not, these things.
So let me now make an allusion, Sir Abuchi. Okay. You live in a house, for instance, and it's a rented house.
Yes.
And you know that eventually you're going to move to another house, and someone else is going to take control of that house.
Yes.
And that person could be a pig in a sty. The person could be a filthy animal and just decide to not do anything about cleaning or putting that house in order. Are you going to say, Sir Abuchi, that you would stay in a house that has a leaking roof, probably no seats, bare floor, leaking pipes here and there, simply because you don't know who is going to take over next?
No, why should I? It is said that in Igbo that Ebonye bikona wachi. That is an old saying. Those days that there were no corrugated roofing iron sheets and all these modern roofing sheets and things like that, they call long span or whatever. In those days, it was raffia palm and some other, leaves, dry leaves that were used in roofing houses for shelter. So, and the Igbos will say, because when a part became dry and there was an opening, of course, when rain came, rainwater will be dripping inside the room. So, but somebody living there was supposed to mend those leaking places so that the house will be in order. So certainly where you live, there is need, it is necessary that you make it comfortable, at least for the moment that you are living there.
So what does that say about the idea of the projects being put on ground? Because you do realize that how you leave your office, how you leave your state would say a lot about you when the next person comes. It's just like if your office is in disarray and then you leave and then the next person comes, almost like, the person that was here before was just, uncoordinated. So now you've said something, two different things. You're concerned about what the next person would do, but in your own case, you want to keep your house comfortable. So where exactly do you stand, Sir Abuji, on this issue of developing the state?
What I'm saying, Natalie, it's like a case of you are hungry. Would you take, because you are hungry, you go and eat something that will be injurious to your health? Would you like to do that? Because you are hungry, you are very hungry. You now do something that is injurious. We have seen cases even in the Bible. It was said, Esau was very, very hungry. And Esau had to, he paid dearly for what? For mortgaging his birthright. We all remember, because of hunger, which he couldn't bear, and people were saying he ought to have controlled himself because he wouldn't have died.
So what are you trying to say?
So what I'm saying is that you should not take because, I said it earlier, that government should not take because they are desperate to develop, which is good. They are desperate to put these things in order. And then mortgage the interest, the entire say they should be very mindful of that. They should be very careful. Our people sold their brothers under whatever guise to slave traders, and we Africans, we pay dearly for it.
So in that case, what arrangement are you suggesting for a government that wants to revive old, moribund, dormant, derelict assets? What would you recommend the government does to do instead of what has happened now with the PPP? What would be the better arrangement?
But there are so many arrangements.
Tell us about those arrangements.
Government can even sponsor these things. They borrow. We have heard not just the Enugu state government, federal government borrows too for projects. Federal government borrows money for projects. Other state governments, they borrow money for projects. So if a government has genuine intention and wants to borrow for a specific project, government can borrow and revive. All these things that people are talking about, government has no business being in business.
No, what I'm asking, Sabuch, what I'm asking you is, we're talking about two different things, 2 pages of the same book, right? I'm saying you are concerned about the government mortgage in our future, right?
Yes.
So I'm asking you, what is the way forward? What should the government instead do to avoid mortgage in our future? Give us a direct answer.
And that is what I'm giving you the direct answer.
Tell me the direct answer.
I'm giving you the direct answer. So allow me. I said government can borrow and revive these industries.
So
I said so.
So the assets, when they're revived,
hold on. I mentioned you should allow me to say something.
Go ahead.
Now I said government can borrow genuinely and manage these resources prudently, because where you have problem is not having prudent management of these borrowed funds.
That's right.
You borrow funds for a particular project which federal government does and some other governments do. Even America and some other, China, they borrow for particular project and they do it. People say government has no business, business being in business, and I would like to disagree, because if you go to Southeast Asia, governments are in business. Governments get involved in business.
Sabuchi.
Yes.
Sabuchi.
Yes.
Are you saying that the state government should manage, run, operate, handle these assets as opposed to the PPP?
What is wrong about it, Natalie? What is wrong if with prudent management, with sincere management, you can achieve that? Are they not human beings? Those PPP, are they not human beings that they are using? Are they not human beings? They are no human beings. They are not using machine or people from
okay, can we name
heaven.
some businesses? Let's name some businesses in the Southeast region that have been managed properly by the state government, that are still on ground, still standing today. Give us a list of how you have drawn this, your conclusion about governments deeply involved in business.
Naturally, government can get...
No, give me the names. I want the names of the successful businesses.
Even if businesses have failed, but in the past, during Michael Okpara era, was it not government that was managing these industries? During Michael Okpara that we talked about, was it not the government that established the Niger Gas, for instance, and was it not the government that was managing it? So something got wrong somewhere because corruption and things like that came in.
So you talked about changing hands. You talked about changing hands. Now this government goes, the next government comes and is uninterested. Perhaps someone who is in another field entirely, maybe is more interested in reviving the judicial sector, and decides to leave other things concerning industry, things like Niger Gas, decides to leave science behind. At that point, wouldn't it lead to more moribund assets as opposed to a company that is specially involved in that, continuing to handle it, even if the government is proving difficult? How do you ensure sustainability if administrations are the ones handling that business? What happens when they leave?
The same thing is applicable to this PPP thing. That was why I was raising the issue of mortgaging the future. Because you may have genuine, yes, the present regime, they may have genuine intentions in getting involved in this PPP arrangement. How about successive governments? Are they not human beings that those PPP will use? It is human beings that the PPPs will use. So if you give adequate orientation and checks and balances, there are ways you do things and you still get the same result. That's what I'm saying. Right. If the regime of Michael Okpara, they could be so prudent in managing these resources, why can't people revisit those the trend, the system of that era, and see how it works, instead of mortgaging the future of a people?
In recent times, government is not doing the right path. Is that your conclusion?
Of course, because see, what happens is that the West, they sold this idea of government has no business being in this. They came here, they sold the same way they sold this nonsense idea to IBB regime then, and IBB, against the will of Nigerians, embraced SAP.
All right. We're out of time now. We're unfortunately out of time, Sabuchi. I mean, we have a clock that seems to be speeding on the show today, but thank you so much for joining the program. I mean, I would like us to look at the economic benefits. I'll just reel out the production line currently of Niger Gas. Currently, it's supposed to be able to produce gases including liquid oxygen, medical oxygen, industrial oxygen, and acetylene gas. Now, still in view, we'll have nitrogen, argon gas, carbon dioxide, and of course, CNG stations. And all of this, of course, are still in line with that other company we talked about, the Tengas, because this appears to be their own model as well. But I mean, it's still unclear. We'll get more information about the nature of the agreement or partnership or whatever exists between the two. Quick word, economic benefits, before we let you go. Just 30 seconds. Economic benefits.
Well, if well managed, if well organized, well arranged, of course it will be of, it is expected to be of benefit to the state government and then to the people collectively and individually. That's the way I look at
Oji,
it.
any final question?
Well, my final question is going to take a whole lot, but it's fine. Let's just go.
So in other words, you don't have a question?
I have a question, by the way.
Yeah, go ahead.
But my question is, right, regards these moribund assets in the States, you know, visa initiations or innovations of Dr. Michael Okpara, right? And it's great that they're being revitalized at this point in time. Now, this gas industry is going to be a boom for Enugu. Which other moribund assets in the state do you think that is rightful to boost the economic value of Enugu? Boosting, I'm talking about boosting from the 4.4 billion as to the $30 billion economy as, you know, ascertained by the governor towards 2031.
Oh, thank you very much. There were industries that were established during the past regime, even during the military era. There was this popular industry, vegetable oil industry, located at Nachi, in the local government area of Enugu State. What happens to it?
All right.
Can't it be revived? What happens to Niger Steel? They can revive Niger Steel, and all these things, they have a chains of
economic. All right, so we're out of time now, unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
we have to wrap this up. Thank you once again.